Hello again. Thank you from Mr. Vincent De Paz for his reply. As I mentioned, our third presentation, Mr. Jamal Abdul Nasser Shakuri from University of Lausanne in Switzerland. Due to time differences, there might be about 7 hours time differences from Japan. So he's not available at this moment due to not wasting the participants' time. And I'm going to call Mr. Vincent De Paz from Asian Institute of Management, Philippines, to start his presentation. 15 minutes talk, and after that, 5 minutes question and answer. Mr. Vincent De Paz, please.
Yes, thank you, Mikhail. Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Let me just share my screen first. Oops. Yeah.
I think now you can start sharing your screen.
All right, thank you. Okay, so yeah. I'm Vincent De Paz from the Philippines. I'm from the Asian Institute of Management, and I'm a chemical engineer and a sustainability advocate for more than a year. I've worked in various multinational companies taking on environmental and sustainable development roles. One key aspect of my work is to find ways in order to manage solid waste that accumulates in a project, in a site, or in a facility. As an engineer, and as most of us in the technical department would know, technology makes waste management disposal faster, more efficient. However, for a developing country like the Philippines, that does not rely much on technology for economic reasons. The question is, how can rural communities manage solid waste generation effectively? What if technology is right at their doorstep? I mean, these rural communities, what if community is very accessible to them? Should the poor community rely on it rather than look at innovating the whole solid waste management process? Now, this is the subject of my study entitled A Strategy to Improve Solid Waste Management of Barangay Matictic, Norzagaray, Bulacan. If you've seen Lawrence of Arabia, this is a movie few years, many years ago. T.E. Lawrence, the protagonist, famously said, "Big things have small beginnings." Rural communities have an excellent opportunity to take the lead in escalating or even leading best practices in any endeavor. Imagine what a nation would be if all rural communities would take part in creating better change. It should and can start with just one community, but it needs government support. The objective of the study is to improve solid waste management in the Philippines, in the Philippine rural communities through behavioral change schemes in each phases of waste management processes. To do that, the change should be inflicted in all its processes and not just on a few. If you look at the data here, solid waste is a problem globally, we all know that, but it has a significant impact in Asia. In the Philippines, population continues to ascend. You can see here in the data. And so does the waste generation per year, as you can see here in the graph. Population per year and the amount of waste generated, and even the projection of the waste from 2008, in 2020. Problems about waste collection, segregation, and disposal continue to be big challenges. Solid waste volume in 2025 is projected to be 0.9 kilograms per day in 2025. It's at 0.4 in the Philippines. Some of you might think it's a small number, so we don't have to be bothered by it. However, since we have a population data here, you can see it's 109.7 million in 2020. This is a projection. We can just do some computation and find out that it's not small after all. It's not small as it looks. So it's really a big problem. At the national level, the lack of municipal MRF, landfills, and waste collection scheme means that the country's solid waste management is a challenge as population continues to increase. Now, I used to work in a cement plant where there is a technology known as co-processing. Rural communities would have benefited from this type of waste disposal because it just involves transportation and logistics. In Barangay Matictic, Norzagaray, Bulacan, cement plants thrive. Despite being the richest municipality with a total revenue of 457.59 million in 2019, being the fourth richest municipality and home to various cement plants, there are communities in the area where poverty is rampant and families are still living below poverty line. Majority of their solid waste, of the waste that they generated, are biodegradable, food scraps, agricultural waste, and residual waste. Given that co-processing is accessible, since cement plants are available, it's there. The question is the waste management process, is this the waste management process that could help Barangay Matictic in managing their waste? The question now is, there's an age-old question. Is it technology or behavioral change that could actually reduce the problem or improve the problem on solid waste? The better way to confront this waste problem is by not just looking at the tip of the iceberg, looking at this photo. Rather, consider what exactly is its cause. Is it waste generation, lack of waste segregation, disorganized waste collection, no proper waste disposal, or absence of waste treatment and recovery facilities? To address this issue, we need to look at the process as a whole. And this has been my study, to look not just at the technology available to manage waste, to manage solid waste, but look at the whole process. Barangay Matictic, or any rural community in a developing country, should see how they are consuming and producing materials for the basic needs. How the waste is being generated. That's the ultimate question, which is also being addressed in the Sustainable Development Goal number 12, the responsible consumption and production. As a technical person, being an engineer, I always look for faster ways to address a problem. 10 or 15 years ago, I would probably say that the only way to address solid waste is to send everything in a cement plant. However, times have changed, and the solution we thought could solve the issue may actually lead to unintended consequences in the end. Hence, in this study, we look at the different stages of the process where the community can take the lead to change. So for waste generation, we can gamify waste generation. We can teach or train families how to properly budget and prepare their meals. For waste segregation, making the process easier helps to change people's perception that it's not actually hard to segregate. For waste collection, studying waste data would help. Possible also that we do not need waste disposal to landfill anymore. We can just segregate and collect properly the waste materials for vermicompost, plastic recovery, and at a certain extent, co-processing. All it takes is a simple change in how we act on a daily basis. Once the community becomes successful in managing their solid waste, they can pass on their learnings to other municipalities, then to other provinces, then to other regions. Soon the whole nation would act differently, just because one pursued an innovative approach in managing waste. So my recommendation in this research, national policies and budgetary allocation for solid waste management should consider prioritization in changing communities' behavior, especially in waste segregation. Lessen the amount of materials to be disposed to landfill through proper segregation of waste, but make it fun and impactful. For communities Norzagaray, such as in Barangay Matictic, that generates volume of food scraps and plastics, practice vermicomposting and have a long-term agreement with plastic recycling facilities so that these materials won't go to landfill anymore. And before I end, I would just want to say that I'm not discounting the fact that technology helps in resolving global issues. still technology, we need it. We must, however, not push all of our resolve towards technological advancement because some worldly challenges are more adaptive than technical. For the remaining waste materials that could not be accommodated by landfill, composting, or plastic recycling, technology through co-processing is a viable choice. That ends my presentation, and I hope that you learned from it. Good day.